gonna read two pieces that I wrote. The first one I wrote in 2019, and it's not directly related to Palestine, but I think it's relevant. For context, in October 2019, Donald Trump decided to withdraw US troops from northern Syria, which allowed Turkey immediate access to invading and killing Kurds, as they always have, proudly, and continue to do today. Critics said that Trump had thrown the Kurds under the bus, and in response, Trump said it was time to stop the endless wars and bring our soldiers home. Trump took credit for the defeat of ISIS, even though it was the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, that drove ISIS out of the area. The SDF lost more than 10,000 fighters in the battle to defeat ISIS. Trump characterized Turkey's decades-long war with the Kurdistan Workers' Party as a tribal war and none of America's business. The result, the displacement of over 300,000 people and the death of many in Syria and Turkey. Human rights violations were reported, but Turkey never faced consequences. Sound familiar? To this day, they continue their ongoing genocide of Kurds, Armenians, Yazidis, and others, while currently speaking out against the genocide that the Zionist state of Israel is inflicting on Palestinians. I dedicate this reading to my ancestors, known and unknown. Pops always told me not to trust anyone. Those people are not your friends. He would scoff at me. I was 12. As a kid, I thought that message was flawed and insensitive. Now, as a 30-something woman, I understand why he would say those things. He knew no other way to instill in me the concept that being victims of violent betrayal is in our blood. The years outlined on our family tree are marked by equal parts hope and disappointment. It's always been too much to ask to simply live freely as a Kurd, to not fear execution because of our language, our diversity, too much to ask to not have acid thrown onto our children's bare bodies, to not have entire villages wiped away, too much to ask to not have to regret trusting a once ally who we shook hands with, only to be used and thrown to the wolves. And as our planet continues to spin, we carry on with our days as normal. On the brighter side of this rock, where the reality of what goes on the other side is just a foreign story being told. So if you ever wondered how people lived their lives while the Holocaust was happening in their backyard, well, you don't need to wonder anymore. What will we tell our children when they ask us what we were doing, when this dark time of history was unfolding, being streamed in real time in the palm of our hands? This next poem I wrote in early January after I took a picture of this really pretty sunset that I'm gonna leave here and hope that it doesn't fall. This piece is one I wrote out of solidarity with the Palestinian people. I dedicate this one to my dear friend Grace Wahab, who, when we met, told me she's Jordanian, because it's hard to explain over loud music at brunch that in 1948 your grandmother was cooking dinner when Israeli forces raided her home in Palestine, forcing your family to head to Jordan, hoping that violence would end in a few days. They were never let back into their home again. My first thought while taking this photo was a deeply naive, unscientific one. I hope the people in Gaza are seeing these colors. Do we share the same sky? Does this dreamy mix of pinks and purples reach across the world? I so badly want God to take my sky and give it to them. I want her to peel the dead bodies out from beneath their rubble and bring them to me. Lift up those who remain, who haven't died yet, and bring them to me. God, I want them to witness the colors you painted up above me. Let them see what I see. I do not need it. I'm safe, my belly's full, my rent is paid, my dog is well fed, my car has gas. I have a car. I have an electric toothbrush, a stack of board games. I can stay dry and warm when it rains. I can get wet and seek a cool breeze when it's hot. When people who jerk off onto an American flag call my father a terrorist, I don't get targeted by drones. For a brief moment, I feel shame for entertaining these childlike thoughts until I remember that the one thing the oppressor cannot colonize is our dreams. I allow myself to keep dreaming. I close my eyes and imagine that my sky is theirs. They wake up to another harsh, colorless day, and suddenly God snaps her fingers and gives me their darkness, just as I asked. Well and his daughter, Motaz, Plestia, Basan, they look up and see the pinks, the purples. I wasn't specific, but God knew to gift them all of the colors except red. If only for a day, give them a break from staring at pools of blood. Back to the dream. The windows reflect a warm orange onto those who are still alive. Plestia is reminded of that day at the beach. Basan remembers when she sent her cousin a sunset selfie on Snapchat. Well, laughs at a joke his wife once told. Now she's dead. Samir, an elder who's in poor health, stuck indoors, opens his eyes and sees his grandson run toward his bedside and eagerly describe the colors he just saw. Samir can't see it, but he closes his eyes to imagine it. He remembers that the one thing the oppressor cannot control are his dreams. Plestia, Basan, Wells, Samir, his grandson, and those who are still alive feel a momentary release from the tension that keeps their bodies alert. They hear music, violins, back to reality. I wonder when was the last time they saw a sunset like this one. I see them almost every day. Do they see colors or just black, red, and gray? If human organs were hot pink and green and purple and blue, Gaza might look like a Lisa Frank collector's wet dream. The sky has no borders. Sure, that may be true, but it's only a matter of time before they colonize it too. And since that last line is like really grim, I want to end with a quote from the last words that James Baldwin wrote in his letter to Angela Davis when she was jailed in 1971. Some of us, white and black, know how great a price has already been paid to bring into existence a new consciousness, a new people, an unprecedented nation. If we know and do nothing, we're worse than the murderers hired in our name. If we know, then we must fight for your life as though it were our own, which it is, and render impassable with our bodies the corridor to the gas chamber. For if they take you in the morning, they will be coming for us that night.